They were the first of their kind. The league had never seen a front line like theirs, two ultra-talented 7-footers. But the 1986 Houston Rockets were much more than the Twin Towers. This team was loaded with talent. They were dubbed the future of the NBA. Many basketball experts believed they would win multiple titles. The 1986 season was no fluke. They were on their way to legitimate greatness. It all started in the 1983 offseason. After ending the Moses Malone era, it was time to rebuild. There was no better way to start than by receiving the number 1 pick in the draft, and they selected the 7'4" Ralph Sampson from the University of Virginia. This was unlike any player the basketball world had ever seen. Despite his size, he was extremely mobile and a dangerous outside threat. On top of that, he was a great playmaker and rim protector. Those skills were showcased immediately. In his rookie season, there was a game against the Chicago Bulls where he had 13 blocks along with 28 points, 18 rebounds, and 5 assists. That was just a taste of what this guy was capable of doing. But just when they thought their future couldn't be any brighter, they landed the number 1 pick for the second consecutive year. The 1984 draft is considered by many as the greatest in league history. There were so many options to choose from. They drafted Houston's own Hakeem Olajuwon. The Rockets decided to give this team a look that nobody had ever seen before. They now had 2 star 7-footers. The Twin Towers concept was considered a big deal. There was no team that thought of playing 2 centers at the same time, but the Rockets saw an opportunity to have a huge size advantage. In their first year together, they had tremendous success and increased their win total by 19 games. The chemistry between these two giants was phenomenal. Hakeem had the body and ability to play the more traditional center role, and that allowed Sampson to use his unique set of skills to thrive in other aspects of the game. He preferred to play away from the basket, to hit open teammates with his precision passing, and to utilize his athleticism to create shots for himself. His style of play was considered unorthodox, but that's what made this duo so special. The Rockets had 2 of the most skilled and athletic bigs in the game. Once the 1985-86 season got rolling, they were one of the top duos in the league. Hakeem presented another set of problems for his opponents. Boston Celtics coach K.C. Jones mentioned during the season what made Hakeem so tough to guard. He said, if he gets the ball anywhere in the paint, it's just like a layup. And he's so quick that you can't guard him with just one man because he's liable to get into foul trouble, and they go to him even more. End of quote. This version of Hakeem ran the floor with abandon. There's no way the centers of the league could keep up, and if they wanted to slow it down, Hakeem already possessed a multitude of low post moves. But their offensive skills weren't the only reason why they were so special. It was their defense. With those 2 guarding the middle, they controlled the paint as well as any team that you can think of. They combined for 22.3 rebounds and 4.7 blocks per game. Every team had to adjust to playing against 2 7-footers, and they gave everyone problems. What are teams supposed to do when Ralph Sampson gives a performance like he did against the Dallas Mavericks? He had 38 points on 49% shooting, 15 rebounds, 4 blocks, 4 assists, and 2 steals. Then Hakeem comes and gives the Warriors 34 points on 76% shooting, 22 rebounds, 7 blocks, 5 assists, and 4 steals. Every game, they were doing something extraordinary. Their chemistry was something to behold. It was as Robert Reed mentioned in Sports Illustrated, this is the Twin Towers team. Can't say Ralph without Dream, can't say Dream without Ralph. That statement was very true, but they didn't do it alone. They also had the ultra-talented point guard, John Lucas. He was a phenomenal scorer and a great ball distributor. Take, for example, what he did against the Sacramento Kings that season. He had 20 points on 75% shooting, 17 assists, and 0 turnovers. The award-winning columnist Bob Ryan went as far as to say that there is no doubt in his mind that he could have put together a Hall of Fame resume. That's how special of a player he was. Then there was Lewis Lloyd, aka Black Magic. When he was on the open court, he was unstoppable. He is easily one of the most underrated bucket getters. How else would you describe a player who averaged 52.5% from the field for their career? In 1986, there were 26 games in which he shot over 60%. His season high in points came against the Cavaliers. He scored 38 points on 65% shooting. Then there was Rodney McCray, who seemed to do everything well. He was a good shooter, great passer, underrated rebounder, and he has 2 All-NBA defensive team selections to his name. Lastly, they had 2 veterans who were with the team when they reached the finals in 1981. That was Robert Reed and Allen Level. Their experience helped this team tremendously. This was a deep team. It's no wonder that they won 51 games. This was the Rockets' first 50-win season since entering the league in San Diego back in 1967. They had the second best record in the West. They had a successful regular season, but there's no question that they left some victories on the board. For starters, Hakeem suffered a sprained ligament in his left knee against the Los Angeles Clippers, and he had to miss a full month. The Rockets were 7-7 during that span. Then there was this scary injury that Ralph suffered. Against the Boston Celtics, he fell on his lower back while going for a rebound. It was reported that he suffered temporary paralysis in his right leg. You can even see his hand trembling from the fall. He only missed 3 games from this injury, but little did he know that the effects of this injury would haunt him for the rest of his career. This was only the beginning of Houston's downfall. With less than 20 games left in the season, John Lucas was kicked out of the team. This was a player who was told that he would never play for the Houston Rockets in the previous year after abusing the Devil's dandruff. But after completing rehab, he changed the team's mind. He was given another opportunity. Unfortunately, he relapsed. He failed the drug test. They knew they needed him if they wanted a chance at winning the title, but his well-being was far more important. They urged him to get help. The good news is that he ultimately turned his life around and defeated this battle. But this meant that the Rockets were going to have to continue on without their floor general. That is when Allen Level stepped up, and he was filling the void perfectly. But to add insult to injury, he got hurt with 5 games remaining in the regular season. That means they were entering the playoffs without a point guard. How is his team going to respond? They put the ball in Robert Reed's hands. This was not his natural position, but he did a great job of getting others involved and filling the scoring gap. In the first round against the Sacramento Kings, he had an inspiring performance in Game 2. He posted a team-high 29 points on 48% shooting, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, and 3 steals. They were able to sweep the Kings, and Allen was able to return for the second-round series against the Denver Nuggets. This is when Hakeem Olajuwon started earning the reputation of being one of the league's greatest playoff performers. In Game 1, he had 38 points on 67% shooting, 16 rebounds, 6 steals, 5 blocks, and 4 assists. Did you know that there have only been 3 times in playoff history that a player has posted over 5 blocks and 5 steals? 2 of those times came in this series. Hakeem did it again in Game 3. He had 31 points on 53% shooting, 11 rebounds, 7 blocks, 5 steals, and 2 assists. But the Denver Nuggets offense was too much. They were able to tie the series at 2 apiece. That's when the Twin Towers gave their finest performance ever. Hakeem went for 36 points on 54% shooting, 19 rebounds, 3 blocks, 2 assists, and 1 steal. Ralph went for 33 points on 59% shooting, 17 rebounds, 10 assists, 5 blocks, and 2 steals. It's one of the greatest games from a duo that you'll ever see. Game 6 was a certified classic. They went to double overtime, with each team trading big buckets. Rockets fans remember this for different reasons. Hakeem was thrown out of the game in the 4th quarter. Then Sampson fouled out in the first overtime. That is when the role players stepped up. Mitchell Wiggins was huge. Even Granville Waiters was able to step up. And of course, both Lewis Lloyd and Allen Level took over. This was the ultimate proof that this team was more than just the Twin Towers. They surely gave them the confidence needed to face their next opponent. That was the Showtime Lakers. This was the defending champions. This was a team that won 62 games. They represented the West in the finals in 5 of the last 6 seasons. After Game 1, it looked like they were going to make it 6 out of 7. But the Rockets were looking to repeat what they did to this team in 1981, and that was to shock the world. The Lakers had the experience and the depth. But there's one clear advantage the Rockets had: their size. In Game 2, the Twin Towers dominated with their defense. They combined for 11 blocks and 5 steals. Kareem, one of the most efficient scorers in league history, was contained at 35% shooting. They stole Game 2, and when they returned to Houston, that is when Hakeem decided to take over. He knew that the 39-year-old Kareem could do nothing to stop him. In Game 3, he torched the old man with 40 points on 50% shooting, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, and 2 steals. This wasn't just a one-game sample. He dominated the Lakers all series long. He averaged 31 points on 52% shooting, 11.2 rebounds, 4 blocks, and 2.2 steals per game. This was his message to the NBA world. He was going to be a problem for the years to come. Thanks to his play, they had a 3-1 series lead. The Lakers needed to do something about him. That is when Mitch Kupchak decided to take the ultimate sacrifice. He pestered him all game long until he finally had enough. Hakeem got himself ejected for the second time in this playoff run. But the Rockets knew what they were capable of without their star players. They immediately went to work. This was the original Clutch City, as it made one big shot after another. Sampson scored 10 of the last 13 points down the stretch. But nothing was bigger than this iconic moment with 1 second remaining in the game.
Get a shot off. Sampson. It goes. It's over.
Michael Cooper's reaction says it all. It was one of the most shocking endings to a game, a series, and a season. Ralph Sampson converted on one of the biggest shots in NBA history. They were on their way to the finals. The team that was waiting was the Boston Celtics. We're talking about what many consider as the greatest team ever. The Rockets might have had the Twin Towers, but the Celtics had a skyline of giants that included Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale, and Bill Walton. Then there was Larry Bird, who won his 3rd consecutive MVP award. It was going to take more than size to beat this team. Since they weren't at full strength, they were going to need a miracle if they wanted to win this series. To their credit, they showed a lot of fight. They pulled out a gutsy performance in Game 3 as they won by 2 points. Then in Game 5, they gave them their second largest defeat of their historic season. They won by 15 points. But there's a good kind of fight, and then there's the bad kind. Ralph Sampson learned the hard way that you don't make that team and that fan base mad. In Game 6, there was hatred in the air. The Boston Garden targeted one man and one man only. Playing in that environment surely had something to do with him finishing with 8 points on 4 of 12 shooting. They still had some growing up to do, but there was going to be plenty of time for that. After the type of season they had, it was only a matter of time before they started winning titles for the city of Houston. Unfortunately, everything crumbled apart shortly after this. The NBA banned Louis Lloyd and Mitchell Wiggins for life after testing positive for drug use in 1987. They eventually played in the NBA again after missing 2 seasons. Then Ralph Sampson suffered a major knee injury against the Nuggets. Instead of taking the year off, he came back 6 weeks after receiving major surgery. He was never the same after that. He was eventually traded in the 1987-88 season. But in 1986, we got a glimpse of what they could have accomplished. If the Showtime Lakers suffered a gentleman's sweep and that Boston Celtics team had problems against them, then you know they were on their way to something special. Other teams even copied their blueprint, and they were very successful. For many basketball fans, they were on that same trajectory. But what about you all? How many titles do you think they could have won? And what do you remember the most about this team? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.